Hello everyone. On 5th February, Delhi will vote. Model Code of Conduct has come into effect with the announcement of the poll dates by the Election Commission of India. On left, right and centre tonight, I will not be discussing the politics of Delhi because for the next few weeks, you will have enough and more of it. As we stand at the threshold of this pivotal moment in Delhi's history, I want to remind you that every single one of us, that is 1.5 billion citizens of India, have a stake in its outcome. This election is not just about casting a vote by 1.55 crore registered voters of Delhi. It's about shaping the future of our historic, magnificent and beautiful city. As an aspiring superpower, the impression we give to the world matters. Dignitaries come to this city. Ambassadors live here, watching and waiting to see how we choose to govern Delhi. This election, more than any other time, is about improving the quality of life of our citizens. We envision a city where technology and infrastructure converge to provide a decent quality of life, a clean and sustainable environment, and opportunities for all. A city where citizens are at the forefront of development and their needs and aspirations are heard and addressed. This is not just a dream, it's a reality that we can create together. This election will decide if Delhi can be a global showcase city, one that will hold world summits. Will we create a city that we as citizens can be truly proud of, or will it further sink into an abyss of worsening quality of life, non-negotiable traffic, unbreathable air and garbage strewn on streets? This is what is at stake here. So as Delhi decides a make or break election, we have an eminent citizens panel to discuss what is it that will decide their vote a month from now. Joining me on the show is, as I said, well-known residents of Delhi. We have Padma Bhushan Sonal Mansingh, Indian classical dancer; Dilip Cherian, founder Perfect Relations; Kishwar Desai, Indian author; Anumita Roy Chaudhary is executive director, CSE. We are also being joined by Harpreet Suri, luxury lifestyle influencer and a proud Delhiite. Ms. Sonal Mansingh, I'm going to begin with you. It is the people's spirit that is driving this city. So when you go to cast your vote on 5th, what will be on your mind, ma'am?
I think you have recounted so many issues that are bugging Delhi more and more as days and months and years have gone by. I think my Delhi that I love and loved is somehow looking very different. Of course, people come and go, cities grow, cities decay, but the decay of Delhi is unacceptable because it is not a natural decay. It has been allowed to happen. The apathy and overcrowding, so many things that we see every day. How are they being addressed or being addressed at all? I don't think they are being addressed. Somehow the local government that has been there for a decade and more has just allowed things to slip and slide. And the normal thing has become to point fingers here and there. Get on with it. They didn't get on with it. I'm very sorry to say all this because after all, Delhi is not only mine and yours, it is for everyone who lives here, resides here and who visits here. As you said, it's the heart of our nation. It's a shame. You know, when you look around, you see this kind of atmosphere, the pollution, the noise pollution, the air pollution, the thought pollution, everything is just jumbled up. And kachra har jagah. Roads are unpaved. I mean, leave alone a few roads in, South Delhi where the VVIP movements happen. What about others? Heaps. What about the mohalla clinics? I think that issue is over. The big schools they promised, gone. Cleaning Yamuna, finished. I mean, what? What is left? And look at that traffic. I am a self-driven person in the sense that I've been driving in Delhi for more than 50 years. I say a big prayer when I set out. I come back and thank my stars. I've come back safe and sound. Is there any civic sense left? Is there any instilling of values that go with being a citizen? Any responsibility? I would really like us to think about it. I'm sure the eminent panel is more than adequate to talk about all this. But I'm so disheartened, and I'm really looking forward to this election to cast my one valuable vote for a big, big change.
You know, you have actually set up this discussion quite well, ma'am. So let me bring in Dilip Cherian now. Dilip Cherian, you know, governments will come and go, elections will happen and must happen. But lost in this entire cacophony of, you know, tu-tu meh-meh, which is happening from both the sides, are the issues of people of Delhi. As a prominent Delhiite yourself, you know, would you say that Delhi has changed and the Dilli Dilwalon ki, that it was about the warm-hearted people, is no longer there because Delhiites are struggling? Every day is drudgery. You know, you step out, you don't know whether you'll be on time to meet your appointments.
You know, Maria, I think that Delhiites have a sense of exclusivity or a feeling of being entitled to more than the rest of India does. Urban India is actually wallowing in all the problems that Sonalji talked about. The problems of inadequate transport, the problems of pollution, the problems of dirty rivers, all those. But what used to be unique about Delhi's character was the fact that it was a gigantic melting pot. And today, we are actually having issues like whether people from Uttarakhand or whether people from a part of UP or Bihar are dominating the Delhi landscape. Delhi is a city that was created by bureaucrats and politicians coming from all over the country and making it their home eventually. Artists, playwrights, people from all kinds of professions chose to make Delhi their home. Today, I'm afraid that you're seeing a divisive Delhi, and that is dangerous. The second thing that I'm worrying about is actually the quality of life which we are talking about is the business of a local government. And I can promise you this, that a local government cannot conceivably be run by a lieutenant governor. We've had, unfortunately, over the last 5 years, a lot of time where the only stories we've heard is that of a conflict between the people who have been voted to manage Delhi and a nominated lieutenant governor. I think that the country and the people have to decide whether they truly want Delhi to be elected and run by the people who they select or not. Number 3, I think that Delhi needs decongestion, and that is not happening fast enough. We are lucky that we have on our borders 2 gigantic cities, Gurgaon and Noida, which has taken away some of the pressure. But today, those are no longer enough. Those are also choking. You need to have more points where the chokes of Delhi and the dreams of the young can be fulfilled. So I think that our vote needs to be for a disaggregated future, not of one of entitlement because we happen to be governed as a country from here. We need to have a city which is responsible for itself and is allowed to rule itself.
Yes, and a city which is truly a metropolis, which is chaotic and charismatic at the same time. And Kishwar Desai, Delhi is relentless and restless. And you know, as someone who helped install the Mahatma statue in London and also the Partition Museum in Amritsar. Do you think other cities have taken a march when it comes to Delhi in terms of its cultural milieu, in terms of the diversity, what Delhi stood for?
Thank you, Maria. I just want to say that there is also a Partition Museum now in Delhi,
That's right,
which we have set up,
yes,
which also talks about the diversity and the heritage of this beautiful city. I just want to say to Dilip that this is not just a city of politicians and bureaucrats. This city has a very long history of, when it was first set up, it is known as so many cities before the present Delhi that we live in, 7 cities that came before. And I think we live in a beautiful milieu, which reminds us all the time of our historical heritage. And I always feel very bad when I see that so much of it still needs to be properly restored and maintained. And for me, that is a very, very important issue. But yes, I am a Delhi girl. I grew up here because my father was in the police. I have lived in civil lines on Rajpur Road when it was completely different. I am shocked and horrified at what has happened to the ridge now. It used to be a beautiful space where I, as a little girl, used to go for walks with other school friends of mine. I cannot do that anymore because it is full of rubbish and, a lot of it is not properly preserved at all. Similarly, one feels rather worried at what is happening to the and live with air pollution, or is it also meant for those who are extremely vulnerable, like my mother is? She has not stepped out of the house for the last, she's had a stroke, so she's wheelchair bound, and she cannot step out. We cannot take her out anywhere for the last almost 2 months. The situation is so bad. So we need to have a revamp of the thinking amongst the politicians. Yes, I agree that there's been too much bickering that has been going on. But this is not something that can be resolved with just tu meme. Parties have to come to the table. They have to think about us. They have to think about the little children who live in Delhi. They have to think about the vulnerable people who live in Delhi, not just about a vote bank. And unfortunately, we as women are succumbing to this.
Yes. I think that's actually... Ms. Desai, I'll fix that audio line with you because your network connection appears to be choppy. But since you spoke about pollution, and every winters we face that situation, Anumita, it's a story which repeats itself with no solution in sight. GRAP 3 imposed, and then Delhi becomes it becomes unbreathable, and then you look for solutions. But there's no permanent solution because it appears that the political class is not really serious about looking for a solution.
You're so right, Maria, and that's what worries us so much. And you know that air pollution has been such a long battle in this city. And many of us who have been involved with this for decades now, it is so frustrating that only yesterday, when we looked at that what is the long-term trend in pollution in Delhi, how is it really behaving? It was a shocker. For second consecutive year, pollution levels again in Delhi has started to go up. It means that for the past 7 to 8 years, despite the problems, whatever we could do, we had seen a bending of the pollution curve. At least there was a downward trend, even though it had not cleaned up. But now what it seems that we are just losing the momentum and we have lost the gains of the past action, and that we are now moving towards worse situation. Now this means that air pollution is only symptomatic of what is going wrong very deep systemically in the city. In this city of 20 million people growing, urbanizing and motorizing, clearly it means that we have not been able to manage this growth the way we need to. The governance has not been able to address the critical issues. And as a result, air pollution, the city which has now become unbreathable, the action that you only see is reactive action during winter, when you think, and then the moment the winter is over, you have forgotten the problem and we slide back. And therefore, the basic expectation of the citizen that I want to be in a livable, happy city, that there should always be a progress, even though there are problems. We are not seeing that. Now, the worrying part is, Maria, that, we have done quite a bit in Delhi. Delhi has seen massive energy transition in the transport sector and the industry sector, where we have been able to reduce the usage of coal, diesel, and movement towards CNG electrification. With that, we have seen some change. But now imagine, going forward, the solutions are going to be a lot more difficult and challenging. And to push those solutions, you need political momentum. The soft options are over.
And Anumita, would you say that Delhiites perhaps should make pollution and decongestion of roads as their principal points on which they will go out and cast their vote? Because, this issue comes up only when there is winters and all of us get worried. It turns into a gas chamber. Our children are not able to breathe. The elderly land up in the hospitals. But when it is about that crucial vote, it should be about these issues. It should not get carried away in those political bickering that we see. One-upmanship.
Absolutely. And that's where I think the responsibility of the people here is that there is a lot of awareness today about the problem. Everyone is talking about how pollution is affecting them and how the health is getting affected. But I think where we are still slipping is that the understanding of the solution and to bat for the solution, to build that public demand for solution, which will push the class, that is not happening adequately. So if we are so worried about congestion, we are fed up with it, but there has to be public demand for public transport, for instance. And how the mobility crisis in the city today, last year we have added 6.4 lakh vehicles. And if we continue to do that, and that's happening because we have not been able to provide adequate, convenient, modern public transport so that we can leave our cars behind. And the scale of change that is needed is not happening. So if this kind of motorization continues to happen, then just imagine we are already bursting to seams. We can never get clean air. So I would say that this time there has to be a resounding message to the political class that there is public demand for the right solutions. We need mobility transition. We need energy transition. We need very efficient waste management, so that in fact it's like we are told that almost 25% of Delhi is not within the formal collection of the municipality. So the waste will get accumulated in the open and burnt. So you need good governance for a good city.
Okay, so good governance is what you're looking at. Perhaps when we look at the agendas of various political parties, we'll get more clarity. Harpreet Suri, what is top on your mind?
Top of my mind is safety, 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 and safety. I am so insecure. I've started going to therapy now because, all that I see here all the time is road rage. I used to drive. Can you imagine 5 years back, I stopped driving. I'm just so scared. I make sure my kids, when they travel to their classes, they have someone elder sitting with them. I can't just send them with the driver anymore. I have a younger girl who's 8 and I have a teenager boy. I'm just so scared of brawls all the time that in case something happens. Until you know someone at the top, here, you will not be bailed out. It's so scary. And then pollution for my children, because every year when, winter sets in, all that I'm forced to do is I'm supposed to travel for 2 months, talk to school and tell them that can I get into online mode because my children can't take this air. My daughter has been so unwell. And I'm in Singapore right now, for a project. It's such an irony. When I came here, The first thing I was told was that our city is very safe, and we would suggest that you take public transport. Even if you lose anything, it'll be sent back to your hotel. When they were giving me this briefing, I was just thinking, oh my God, wow. And my son was telling me, who's a teenager, so impressionable, Mom, can't we shift? Can't we shift here? We're going to be in such a safe environment. Can you imagine a teenager already thinking of leaving the country? And I was telling him, no, beta, once your generation grows up, I'm sure things will be much better. So safety and pollution is like right on top for me here. It scares the hell out of me.
And you're certainly giving a lot of hope to your children. But can they be hopeful, Ms. Sonal Man Singh?
Well, they have to be hopeful because no country in the world can really say that we don't have any problem, whether of pollution, whether of overcrowding. I mean, just we have all the videos of cities like Chicago and New York and San Francisco and Detroit and all what's going on there. So what I'm saying is that rather than thinking of leaving the country, just run away. We have to unite. We have to think along. We have to think together. We have to demand. I agree with the panelists that several issues are there, but the issues have to be thought about and worked on. If we just go on leaving the country, then I don't think that's the solution. Number two, that the mountains of kachra. I went to Kurukshetra last year and near Alipur. I said, well, how does this hill come here? I'd never seen before. And on, when we moved closer, I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. It was a mountain, almost half a mountain, a hill of all that accumulated kachra and all the vultures. And I mean, it was horrendous. I couldn't believe this is Delhi. So I think we are quite unaware of one of my students lives in Alipur. And he says, Guruji, I cannot tell you how we are managing. I said, well, you're still dancing, you are able to breathe, but what are you people doing about it? Another thing, my girls, who go to Rohini and who come from there and metro, they take metro Dwarka. They say, Guruji, all these sharab ki dukans which have been opened, लोग शराब की बोतल अब मेट्रो में लेके आते हैं, हम क्या करें? I was thinking about, when this lady Harpreet ji spoke about her children. Now, all these are local governments' headaches who have opened sharab ke theke in every mohalla. Is anyone talking about it? Is there a demand? Ke bhai band karo, ye kya hai? So, I think there is a two-pronged, ये भी है वो भी है हमें सब जगह इकट्ठा होके इसको अटैक करना पड़ेगा and we have to demand कि ये बंद करो ये ऐसा नहीं हमें नहीं चलेगा. But first of all, we have to unite for that. We each one have our problems. We all think along together कि ये भी है, but how to tackle it? So what are we doing about it? That's what I would like to know. I'm talking about it wherever I go. I'm giving interviews. I'm writing about it. I'm telling my friends. I'm talking to my students, their parents. हर जगह बात फैलानी है, WhatsApp में डालनी है, इधर डालनी है, सोशल मीडिया में डालनी है. और क्या? I want to know each one of us what all can we do as a person, as a citizen, individually, and then think how can we unite and really make a difference.
I mean, as someone who's talking about her own manifesto, that is the way to take the first step. You are, perhaps explaining it quite well to our viewers about your concerns, and these are the issues that concern Delhi. It's a quick word from you, Harpreet, and then I'll give the last word to Kishwar Desai. You have to unmute yourself.
Wherever I've been going recently on all women platforms across India, the only thing I'm told, and I've been realizing it now, oh, you're from Delhi, how are you managing it? One of my friends flew down from Bombay with her daughter. She told me, I am so scared getting out of the airport. I said, it's not that bad in Delhi. I think you are in some misconception. She said, can you send me your driver? I will not take an Uber. I will not take a taxi at all. I'm so scared. And as a woman now, I started realizing I don't want to take any taxi. I feel I'm going to be harassed. I've heard so many cases of my own friends getting harassed in these taxis that I feel my basic right of traveling from one place to another is also curbed now. Am I supposed to stay in my house? My children are supposed to be in the house. My in-laws, my parents, elders. What are we living in? What is this gas chamber? What is this unsafe city we are living in? Is it for real? Then definitely our teenagers, the young kids are going to say, let's leave the country. But I love my Delhi. I've lived here all my life and I've had the best times here. I have hope. I'm sure the coming government would have better plans for us.
Okay, so Kishwar Desai, would you say that 2025, I mean, this election is a defining election for Delhi. It's a defining election for all of us, who live in Delhi, who call the city our home. Because it will give a direction to its policy, of course, its politics as well, and more so how Delhi will be governed here onwards.
Absolutely. Maria, I'm an optimist. I mean, we are seeing Delhi probably at its worst right now, which is so very, very sad for all of us. And I do believe that having looked at the depths to which we have fallen, which has been elucidated very well by all your panelists, I'm sure the next government will have to rise because there is nowhere else that we can go. And Sonalji said, what is it that we can do? Yes, we can go out there and vote. We can vote for the candidates who are expressing all our fears and saying that we're going to set it right. And it should not be only about buying of women's votes by giving them X amount of money or those raveries we keep talking about, but actually making a meaningful change to this wonderful city. And that's the important thing. The other point I want to make is that this city can be transformed, because you mentioned that, yes, many of us travel, we do live abroad. I also live in London part of the time. And that city also had a lot of pollution. The Thames used to stink at once upon a time. It has all been cleared up, but it has taken political will. It has also taken the will of the people to see that change. So why should we leave everything to the government? I think the time has come to take a bit of this in our own hands and to go out there and make a difference to the city that we live in. And I certainly hope this clarion call will go out to the politicians and they will realize that if they don't clean up their act and this city, they're going to lose very badly.
All right, I think that's the right way to sum this up. It's almost like a clarion call being given by the citizens of Delhi to the politicians, telling them that to get their act together, Delhi is the fulcrum of politics in the country, but more so Delhi needs to be fixed. And that's what the citizens here have spoken about. Dilip Cherian, Sonal Mansingh, Kishwar Desai, Anumita and Harpreet, thank you so much for joining us.